Welcome everyone. Today I have for you 5 NFL postseason hot takes, but the takes are going to get increasingly hotter. So the first take won't be as spicy, it won't be as out there, but by the end of the video, we will see some crazy takes that I actually do stand upon. So let's start with the first take that isn't as hot as some of the other ones later in the video, and it's in the AFC side of the playoff. But I believe that whatever team has to play against Houston in the first round of the playoffs will beat Houston, whether it be Pittsburgh, Baltimore, LA. I'm recording this halfway through week 17, but in my opinion, whatever team plays against Houston would have the 5 seed. Houston is going to have the 4 seed. I think will beat Houston. The Texans have not blocked well for CJ Stroud all season, and I think that's going to continue to happen against a team like the Steelers, the Chargers, the Broncos, who all have great defenses. And if it's the team like the Bengals that get in there, the Dolphins, I still think an offense like Cincinnati or Miami is very capable of just outscoring Houston. Houston does have a very solid defense. I'm not taking that away from them. Two of the best pass rushers in the league, in Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. But I think especially if they got the Bengals as that fringe team that probably won't get in. But as of recording this, we obviously don't know yet. I do believe that they have enough to outscore Houston. So I think Houston is the weakest division winning team out of all 8 in this playoff field, and that's the best chance for a wild card team to win. My second NFL postseason take, which is hotter than the first one, but is still not super hot, is that I believe 2 out of the 3 NFC wildcard teams can win their first round wildcard matchup. So if the division winners stay as it is now, if it's Detroit as the 1, Philadelphia as the 2, LA gets the 3 seed, and the Falcons get the 4 seed, obviously some stuff can change, but let's just say that's how it is. And the Vikings are the 5, the Packers are the 6, and the Commanders are the 7. I think at least 2 of these wildcard teams, if not maybe all of them, have a decent chance of winning their matchup. You usually see the division winners handle the wildcard team in the first round. Sometimes 1, maybe 2 wildcard teams win in the whole playoff bracket. But I think at least 2 have a strong chance in just the NFC side. So you look at what the 5 seed Vikings could be doing against the 4 seed Falcons. I think the Vikings are heavy favorites in that game. Way better record. Falcons only have started Michael Penix for a few games at this point. Even if they win the division, it could be Tampa, who I believe Tampa is a little bit stronger. But even then, there is, without a shadow of a doubt, that Minnesota can and likely will win that first round playoff game. They just need Sam Darnold to be consistent, complete his throws, go through his progressions, and the Vikings would be able to handle the NFC South winner. You look at the Packers, who would probably play the Rams if the season ended today, or if the season ends, obviously, in Week 18. I do think the Rams and Packers is a likely playoff matchup. It is in LA, so the Rams are going to have a little bit of a boost there. But I still think the Packers are the better team. More young and likely explosive quarterback in Jordan Love. I still think Stafford is a fringe top 10 guy. I think he's great. But it's Jordan Love time in Green Bay. The Packers are playing really well on offense and defense, shutting out teams like the 49ers recently, the Saints they shut out, the Seahawks they dominated in Lumen Field. So it's hard to pick against Green Bay if they are playing a team like the Rams or the Seahawks, who are good teams. They're in the playoffs. They won their division. But I think the Packers are one of those wild card teams that are going to make it past the first round. And even the 7 seed Commanders, if they stay as the 7 seed, which they could jump up, we never know. But let's just say they are the 7 seed. They play Philadelphia the first round. Jalen Hurts might still have a concussion. We don't know. We know he's staying out in week 17. We know that the Eagles, they're not the greatest team in the world without Jalen Hurts. They're obviously still good, still have a great defense. But just in week 16, the Commanders dropped 5 touchdowns on the Eagles to win 38-33. We know Jaden Daniels has the clutch gene in him. It's just, will he be able to activate and play like he did at his home field of Washington against the Eagles in Philadelphia? So that is the question. But I do believe that at least two of the three NFC wildcard teams can win their playoff game. We are now on the third hot take. Things are getting a little bit spicy now, but the final two takes, which you're going to want to stick around for, are the two hottest ones by far. This take, we're going back to the AFC side of the picture. It's involving the Buffalo Bills. I see the Buffalo Bills as a team that will lose in the first two rounds of the playoffs. First two rounds, not first one necessarily. It just depends on the opponent. But right now on the NFL.com website, it has the Broncos as the 7th seed, even after a loss to Cincinnati. And if it is what it is, then I do think the Bills beat the Broncos in Buffalo. But you go over the week after, and let's just say everything stands. The Bills play the Ravens, obviously still in Buffalo, and I have the Ravens winning that matchup. If you don't remember, early in the season, the Ravens dominated the Bills 35-10 in a Derrick Henry dominant performance. And I think that's kind of what would happen in this game too. Kind of like what Derrick Henry did to the Texans just a few weeks ago as playoff time would be approached. Obviously, in real time as we're recording this, that Ravens-Texans game happened only a couple of days ago. But I do think the Ravens would heavily lean on Derrick Henry, at least if they were playing it smart. Lean on your running game. You realize that the Bills don't have the best run defense. They have guys hurt. They haven't been perfect this year on the defensive side of the ball. You take advantage of that, and there's no reason why the Ravens don't win that game. I see the Ravens as the slightly better team. You can argue Lamar or Josh Allen all you want. Me personally, I think they're about equal, but it's not the quarterback battle. For me, it's the overall team. The Bills, I think, have maybe a better offensive coordinator in Joe Brady than what the Ravens have. But still, I believe the Ravens are able to pound the rock on the Bills. And I love Josh Allen. I don't know if Josh Allen alone is going to be enough to beat the Ravens. Because that is the third take. These final two, which you guys have been waiting for, are the really hot ones. We are now at the fourth hot take. Obviously the second hottest take in this video. This is the one that I'm probably the least confident in, even less confident than in my final take, but it's going back to the NFC side, and it's going to involve the Detroit Lions. And my take for this is that I could very well see the Lions losing in the first, if not the second round of the playoffs. So, if the Lions and the NFC standings stay how it is, I think the Lions would probably be playing Green Bay. I think the Packers would beat the Rams, and I think the Vikings would beat the Falcons. So it'd be Lions, Packers, Eagles, Vikings in the second round of the playoff. And I think the Lions can very easily lose this game. Green Bay only lost by 3 the last time they played in Detroit, and it's a dome stadium, so weather is not going to make it, where the Lions are going to just pound the rock on the Packers. The Lions are going to want to throw the ball in this game, and I don't think Green Bay is going to let them. I can see Xavier McKinney getting an interception, and even if he doesn't, I think Jared Goff struggles. Now, why does Jared Goff struggle? Because I think the Green Bay defense is going to throw a lot of blitzes at Jared Goff's way. Now, you obviously can't say for sure. You don't even know if this is a matchup that will happen for sure. But if it does, I definitely do see Green Bay playing aggressive, wanting to throw off Jared Goff, and having them lean on the ground game, or at least stop the pass game from being another option that torches Green Bay. In terms of Green Bay's offense, I definitely do believe that they have the firepower to score over 30 on a banged-up Lions defense. And speaking of that banged-up Lions defense, even if they beat Green Bay, I think whether it be Philadelphia, maybe Minnesota, or we don't even know, maybe even a team like the Commanders, the Bucks, the Rams, whoever it may be, gets to the NFC Championship game, I think that team can also have a very strong chance of beating the Lions based off the Lions' defensive injuries. It does stink that injuries happen in football, but at the end of the day, it happens every season. Like the Niners have been struck with injury curse. It's happened to the Rams before. So I do believe that the Lions are not going to make the Super Bowl based off the injuries and based off other teams scouting. They know that Ben Johnson likes to throw everything at every team. So I think other teams will be ready and it will stop the Lions' Super Bowl parade from happening. My final NFL postseason hot take, widely regarded the hottest hot take, is actually two Super Bowl predictions that are very unlikely to happen, but I believe are still possible. The first one is the one that's less likely, and then we'll talk about the one that's more likely. First off, and the AFC is the Cincinnati Bengals, the NFC, the Washington Commanders. Two teams that, as of recording, still technically have a shot. For the Commanders, they should be able to clinch a playoff berth within the next 2 weeks, so I'm not too concerned about them getting in. The Bengals, it's going to be harder, so this video could just completely age like milk. I don't know, but I do know that if the Bengals and the Commanders both get in, they are teams that can go on a run and can win a couple playoff games and all of a sudden see themselves in the Super Bowl. I think out of the two teams, the Bengals are more likely to make the Super Bowl if they get into the playoffs. They'd play the Bills in the first round, which in the playoffs, Joe Burrow does own Josh Allen. Then they'd play the Chiefs in Arrowhead the second round, which we do know that Joe Burrow has gone in the Arrowhead and beaten the Chiefs before. And then finally, they'd probably play the Ravens in the championship, which obviously the Ravens have beaten them twice. But I think the Bengals, if they get in, which is the hardest part, can go on a stretch. The main thing holding them back is their defense. The Commanders is a little bit harder. The NFC is not as strong as the AFC in terms of top teams, but it still is going to be harder because the Commanders have a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels. They play the Eagles the first round if everything stands, which is a winnable game, especially if Jalen Hurts is still out. I'm assuming Jalen Hurts will play. It is in Philadelphia, but if Jaden Daniels has a signature game like he did in Week 16, then I think the Commanders win that game. Then they go into Detroit to play the Lions. Lions have a banged-up defense. I could very easily see the Commanders just going on an offensive tear in the Dome Stadium. And then finally, you could see a matchup like the Vikings, maybe the Packers you could see, or maybe it's a team like the Rams. I think if you get past those first two games, if you're the Commanders, you should be able to beat anyone in that championship game. It's a lot to ask for a Bengals Commanders Super Bowl, but I don't think it's entirely impossible. The other idea that I had is a little bit more likely for both teams to make it, but maybe not as likely for the teams to go on a run, is going to be the Chargers and the Buccaneers. This one, the Chargers have already clinched a playoff spot. The Bucks need a little bit of help to get the NFC South crown, but I also do think this is another one that can happen, and both teams can go on a run. Chargers are very well coached from Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert as your quarterback. You're never going to complain about that. Good running game. Receivers might be a problem, but you have an elite defense, elite coaching, and an elite quarterback, which is all you need to go on a playoff run in the NFL. The Bucks, I'm a really big fan of Baker Mayfield. I think Todd Bowles is a really good head coach in the NFL. I think their defense is a little bit underrated. They give up points, but they also can cause turnovers. They can get a lot of interceptions, a lot of forced fumbles, which I'm high on. And I think Mike Evans is still a top 10 receiver in the league, maybe even top 5 when he's healthy and playing at his best. So I think the Bucks can go on a run, kind of like what they did last year. They almost beat the Lions in Ford Field last year. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do it again. Losing Chris Godwin hurts, but I don't think it's going to end their chances of winning a playoff game. And I think the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh knows how to win a game. They are able to play smash mouth football against a team like maybe the Texans or the Ravens in the first round. And then we just see the Chargers go on a run. These are both pretty unlikely Super Bowls to happen just based off they don't get a home game. But I do think they are both entirely possible. So let me know what you guys think of my hot takes down in the comments section below. I can't wait to do my full NFL playoff prediction once the whole playoff bracket is set. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.